Hello guys, so this tutorial now is how can we convert our game into a mobile game, and that's what we are going to do today. So the first step you want to do, and this will take a bit of a time, is you want to go to build setting and then select the device you want your game to be at. I'm using an iPhone and I want my game to be an iPhone game, so I will select iPhone, keep all the setting the same, and then hit switch platform. This will take few minutes of this rendering, depends if you have the part downloaded in your PC or not, and we'll get back to it after it finish. Alright, it finished processing, so now let's talk about converting our game into an iPhone game. So it's pretty simple actually. So we will do everything in level 1, and then we will copy everything we did to the remaining levels. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a canvas, which would be our control area. So UI, and then create a canvas, and I will call it iPhone controller. You can name it anything, and then in it we will do the same thing we did in the previous lesson. We will go to the space, we will make it to camera space, and then make sure you drag your main camera, and that will put everything here so it's more in perspective. And then in here we're gonna create 3 buttons. So I will go to UI, actually 4 buttons, 1 for firing, 2, and I will create a button, and I will call the first one heading to the right, and then I can just hit Control D to make a copy of it, and then rename it left, and then Control D. This one will go with jump, Control D. The last one will be fire for shooting. All right, so as usually people, when they organize, we will put the firing on the left at the bottom side of the screen, jumping also on the left, moving to the left on the left, moving to the right on the right. Roughly about there. You are welcome to organize it more, but I'm just gonna make it rough for today. And then if you looked at the sprite, we might find actually arrows or something that we can use. Let's see, can we use that? No, it's not pretty. Let's just go back with the normal button shape. Okay, so you can rename them all to the same names. For example, right, left, jump, and shoot, or fire actually. Let's put it as a fire. Alright, so now if I hit play, I can see my button and they are behind my map. They all do nothing. Anything I press will honestly just fire, and that because whenever I hit the screen it's gonna fire. So we want to make sure they are in front of everything. So go ahead, select the iPhone and move the order to 100. So it's absolutely in front of everything. Nothing will be behind it. Perfect. Now let's go into the coding. We will create a new script, and this new script we're gonna call it controller, and then I will open it. In this controller script, what I want to do is I want to go back to my player movement script and copy everything. So I will start copying from the rigid body all the way down to the flip, and then I want to delete all of this. Don't delete the public controller, and then paste it. So this will be pretty important because we are just creating another moving script, so we don't have to rewrite everything. So let's look at the things that we need to change. The first thing we need to change is this. We don't want to be moving using the input horizontal axis, so we will delete that. And the second thing we don't want to be doing is jumping as an input, so we don't need this one. So I will delete that one as well. So let's start with the moving script, the one that will control our horizontal and vertical move, actually our horizontal movement. So to do that, we will use an event in the Unity system where whenever I click the button, I want something to happen in return. So we will create a public void, and we will call this horizontal for horizontal movement, and the first one will be down, which means when I'm pressing the moving button, this is what I want to have. And then we will do a placeholder for a direction, and I will open parentheses. Okay, so in here I want to say move. Do y'all remember move H, the one that uses the input axis in our player, this one here? So now instead of it using the horizontal axis input, it will just give you the value direction. So this will equal direction, and then we can control this in the button. And now I will copy this whole thing because I need it exactly the same with one difference. Instead of down, this time it's up, and then it's the same. So this basically means when I'm not pressing the button. And the reason we're using a float, because we know +1 mean my player is going to go to the right, -1 mean my player is going to go to the left. And that's pretty much everything we need to do. And then over here, we're going to keep this exactly the same. Our velocity is simply going to be in here. Oh, actually, no, we need to fix one more thing in this. No, let's try to keep it the same and see what happens. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so now we will save it, and then I will go to my player. I will make sure I'm disabling the player movement. I don't want this to be active. You see the check mark? You want it gone. And that just to tell the app, hey, I don't use this one. Then we will drag a new one called controller. As you can see, it's exactly similar to that. So let's drag all the older stuff we had already, like the spawn. I'm going to drag the spawn. Rigid body is going to happen by itself. I think we had the speed to 10 and the jump to 250, and everything else is the same. So now we are going to go to our buttons. So let's start with the right button. I will add a new component called event trigger. And in this component, I'm going to add pointer down, which means when I'm holding my mouse, and I'm going to add another one, pointer up, which means when I release my mouse. So when I'm holding down my mouse, this is what I want to happen. I will drag my player and I'll drop it here. I want to go to the controller, and when I'm pressing it down, I want to use horizontal down. And since we're heading to the right, I'm going to give it the value of 1. And then when I am not pressing the button or stopped pressing the button, I want to go to controller, and this time I want to use horizontal up, and I will give it the value of 0, which means don't move. Same thing for the left. Event trigger, I'm just going to go through this fast, down and up. It's exactly the same, with the only difference is instead of 1, we're going to put the number to be -1. So instead of 1, this will be -1, and then this other one will be exactly the same as the other one, which will be our 0. Up, and it will stay 0. So let's test it now. If I pressed the right button, I'm moving to the right. If I press the left button, I'm moving to the left. As you can see, it's working fine. There is a problem that my player is constantly jumping, and I think that is not that. Let's see, why is my player constantly jumping? I think because we didn't finish fixing the whole code. Yeah, it's something related to the jumping here, because we deleted the condition, so now it's always jumping. So now let's work on the jumping. As we said, we only need to check if the jumping is true or false. And we don't need it to happen in the update, since jumping is only a one-time event. I'm copying, so let's just keep it there for now so I'm not confusing you. What I want you to do is, I want you to go down here, I want you to add a public void and call it jump. And this public void jump will not have any argument in it, and we will add our jumping code here. So I will copy this one, Control X to remove it after copying it, and then Control V to add it again. So this means if I press the jumping button and the jumping is false, that means I'm not touching the ground, then my player will jump. So let's add it to the button. So this time I will go to player, and I will just use it here on the normal click because we don't want to be able to spam jumping. And I will put it down there. Jump, actually no, my bad. I'll put the player down there. I will go to the controller and I will select jump, and let's run it and see. So when I press jump, my player jumps. When I press right, my player goes to the right. When I press left, my player goes to the left. We still have the problem of the player is constantly shooting no matter where we press on the screen. We need to fix that. And that is our last button. So to fix that, let's go to the shooting script. And we're gonna add one more thing. So the thing we're gonna add is a private bool, and it's called is shooting. So basically, if my player is shooting, then I want that to be true. If my player is not shooting, I want it to be false. So I will go to the update and I will add to that and is shooting equal true. Basically, it means if I was pressing the shooting button, I want the player to be shooting. So now we will add two public void, just like we did previously, void, and we will call it shooting. No, we cannot call it shooting. It shouldn't match the name of that. I'm gonna just call it shot. Let's just call it shot, open parentheses, and in here. So in here we will say shoot. Let's just say shot, and then this will actually be a bool, and we'll call it shot. And then in here, this shot down, which means if I'm clicking the shooting button, since we want to be able to spam it, so we'll say shot is shooting equal shot. So that means whatever I put here will be the case. And then we will just make a copy of this again, and then this time instead of down we will say up, which means if I'm not shooting, and it will be the same thing. And then I'll save it. And this what will do, it will prevent you from being able to shoot unless you're pressing the shooting button. So in that case we can even delete this one, but I'm gonna keep it just in case if you decided you want the game to be a computer game again. So, and we can do one more thing to help fixing that by adding another private bool, and let's call it is it PC? That's what we're gonna call it. Is it PC? And we will say if is it PC equal true, then just make sure it's in parentheses, then is shooting is always going to be true no matter what. And then make sure it's a bracket, not that is the wrong type of bracket I added. Okay, and that basically means if it's a PC, it will always, you will always be able to shoot, and we will just test it in a minute. And then these two can stay the same. All right, let's look at it now. So we will go to our firing, and we will add an event trigger, and we will add a button down and a button up, just like we did previously, and add for both of them. I will do player, and then I will go to shooting, and this time shoot down true, and then I will add my player again, and then this time shooting, and shoot up is going to keep it at false. So now if you went to player and you looked at the shooting, so is it PC? If it's false, then I won't be able to press anywhere and shoot. If it's true, I can press anywhere and shoot. So that just to help you putting it on and off. And now if it's off, only when I'm pressing the shoot button it's gonna shoot, and then I can move left, and I can move right, and I can jump left, right, left, jump, fire. All right, that's basically the whole lesson of how to convert it into a phone game. Now I would like y'all to just keep developing couple levels, and then when you're done let me know, and I can come to your PC and help you converting your game into a phone game, and we can install it in your phone.